Welcome back to the Creative Leadership Network, where insight meets analysis and conversation spark transformation. I love to educate to elevate so that we can learn to go from situations to solutions. All right, capitalism. Let's continue the conversation. So, this is part two. Now, if you were able to watch part one last week, then you would know that we were actually having a discussion about Surrounded. So, Surrounded is the actual show that has been showing on YouTube. I'm pretty sure that you've seen it. And pretty much it is different type of influencers, business people, and leaders, entrepreneurs, anybody you can think of that you can debate, right? So what Surrounded is that they are surrounded around at least about 20 people, and they're able to challenge their ideas, challenge their belief systems, right? And so last week I came across Surrounded and I was able to see a video about Patrick Bet David. So just in case you didn't know who Patrick Bet David is,
This clip is used for commentary, analysis, and education under Section 107 of the Copyright Act.
This is not the United States of Patrick Bet David. This is the United States of America.
Would you take money from a capitalist to help you go see specialists?
I mean, yeah, sure, why not?
But would you also be open to seeing somebody else I choose as a psychologist that may...
No.
You're not?
No. No.
When you're offering people here jobs, right? You're saying that they would have to pay you money to get that. So in reality, you're trying to convince them to pay you money to be part of your
claims
company.
of defaming. Be very careful defaming when you don't know the fact. I'm Patrick Bet David. I'm an entrepreneur and founder of PBD Podcast. Today, I'm surrounded by 20 anti-capitalists.
so when I came across this, I said, okay, this would be a good one to present, right? So again, let's jump right in and let's talk a little bit about capitalism. I'm going to go a little bit deeper right here in part two. Like I said, I like to break things down here because a lot of times we think we know what we're arguing about. And sometimes we quite don't. Like we go by what other people tell us. We haven't done any research. We don't even know actually what capitalism is. We just know because of what people said to us it was, and not really knowing what actual or the foundations of what capitalism is, right? And what the argument is about, then we can probably pretty much start solving problems. And if people can't solve those problems for us, then 9 times out of 10, we can probably learn how to solve those problems for ourselves, correct? With the correct information.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, yeah. You know I'm always honest. There ain't no way I'm ever stopping. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, yeah.
Now, what I want to do is I want to start with a clip which is talking about options. So you will see Patrick Bet David, and he's going to be doing a debate about options, right? So just in case you haven't seen Surrounded, because you know I can only show so much footage here, right? And commentate and educate on it. So you would have to actually go see the whole entire show. You can catch that show on YouTube, and it is Surrounded, and it's called Patrick Bet David versus one capitalist versus 20 anti-capitalists. Okay, so make sure you catch that, guys.
I'm glad y'all tripped over each other because I did too. How's it going? James.
What's your name? James.
So one of the things that you have stated is that we have options. Okay. So just to give you a little bit of my background, I come from a divorced family, and we lived below the poverty level from the time that I was born until now, frankly. So where exactly am I failing when I am working 80 hours a week? I am taking the only jobs that will hire me. I have put in 477 applications over the last 2.5 years. Not even gotten a call back once.
Why do you think?
You tell me. You're a job creator.
But I don't know your resume. You know your life better than I do. Why do you think you have not gotten a call back on 477?
Because
a lot
I
of
do
people
not
get
have a degree.
callbacks. Okay.
Because I do not have a degree,
I
because
don't
I could
either.
not afford one.
Okay.
I live in an area where the physical job market is very limiting.
Where do you live?
I live in rural Texas.
Okay, so as we can see, that's James, right? As you notice, that's pretty much a lot of the American people. Let's be honest about it, right? So that's the American people that don't have your high-paying jobs, that don't have your education, but they do work hard, right? Like he said, he's working 80 hours a week. Like he stated, you understand what I'm saying? What is he doing wrong? Now, I want to explain something to you. What he is saying is very valid because the majority of people could not afford college, but I attended anyway, right? So in doing that, that left us with college debt. So we all know about college debt. We talked about it. Everybody's been discussing it. We just went through the COVID thing, right? The pandemic. It was on hold for a minute. You even heard Dave Ramsey say it yourself. Y'all do not put your stuff on hold because they're not going to pay for your stuff. They're not paying for your college debt. This is not the actual first time they've done that. Guys, continue, if you can, paying your stuff, even if you have to pay minimal, because at the end of the day, guys, it's not going to work. Now, that was Dave Ramsey. Let's credit him, guys, because he knew what he was talking about. Dave Ramsey, the financial advisor, right? So, but let's listen up closely. That's pretty much the cry of the American people. That's the heart of it, right? People to feel that they don't have options. People feel limited, right? Now, when he said he couldn't afford it, there was a lot that went to school. There was a lot of people that went to school and they couldn't afford it either. So lucky for him, he's not in debt. But guess what? Us who went, we got into debt. So not only could we not afford college, we could not, you understand what I'm saying? We didn't get the jobs or careers that we thought that we were going to get out of them. That's another thing that happens. You understand what I'm saying? So these are factors that Americans deal with, and when it comes to the ideas of capitalism. So do you understand what I'm saying? So that's why it's such this squeeze when it comes to capitalism. That's why people feel that, oh, they're greedy, or this is going on, or the wealth is not dispersed, or, the different arguments that go on. Correct? But you have to understand, what question did he ask him? Let's listen up and let's see what question he asked him. And this is where many people miss it, right? Right. Let's get there.
Let me give you a couple options.
Sure.
Are you open to leaving the city you're in?
I've already left it.
So what city?
I've left multiple cities.
So if somebody else gave you a job in a different place, you'd be
100%.
willing to move there?
100%.
Okay. On your resume,
It says that.
What do you have on your resume? Skill set. What do you offer?
Transportation expertise, logistics expertise.
You consider yourself a hard worker.
I mean, I feel
You
like
said
80 hours a week.
That's a
something like
hard
that.
worker.
Sure.
How about we do this? How about I interview you and I give you a job? Would you
Sure.
move to Fort Lauderdale?
Ooh, man, that's Florida. Sure, why not?
Would you move to Fort Lauderdale?
Sure, why not?
How about you and I document this? After this, you come, I do an interview with you, and I give you a job. And let's see what you do 90 days later.
Okay, I'll look up your company and all that kind of stuff, and I'll see it.
But you
like,
see what just happened
regardless,
right there? But
Mike,
watch what you just did.
Sure.
If you saw part one, I literally went over how sometimes you cannot debate someone if you don't have background information. This is where I want you to see it. Let's just say some random person, let's just say he put in 480 some applications, right? Now, I know that this is a show and most people say, oh, that's exaggerated. Well, let me tell you something, honey. I've been there. I put in 1,800 and I got the proof to prove it to you. So I know that these go on. So even though these are shows and people are speaking real issues, these are real to people. You remember there was a time when people would look for jobs and it would take them almost 2 to 3 years just to get a job. I want you to think about that. I want you to think about a lot of people having jobs and going through cycles of jobs, and you apply for jobs, right? And then you have a job for so long, all these things are happening on the job, and then you don't have the job again. And then you're going through the process of applying all over again. Do you understand what I'm saying? And most of the time it takes you 2 to 3 years just to get another job. You understand? 6, 8 months, all kind of stuff. That's a lot of time off your life. A lot of time. So there are so many factors. You understand what I'm saying? Man, if I could give you my story, we would be here forever. But that is a part of my story. That's why I was so passionate to do this. I woke up one day and I said to myself, girl, you have spent 30 years of your life. See, this is what being unaware will do for you. There are so many people that sleepwalk on their own life. You understand? And they just argue like capitalism this and capitalism that and this and that because nobody has showed them their power. Nobody has helped them to understand. Like I explained in the first video, though, we're in a different time frame now. When I was growing up in the 80s and the 90s, it was kind of different. We didn't have social media. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have any of that stuff. And if you were, you know how we all say it, right? You in the inner space, right? So if you went to college, maybe your family did struggle. Maybe your grandfather was poor and worked his fingers to the bone and did all of that and he built up, a family legacy. But was that the majority of people? No, right? And so those people are in the inner know, so they can easily pick up the phone and call John and say, John, I know a young man, and pass on, success to people. You understand what I'm saying? Versus you just, everybody just hearing about all the things they hear about today on YouTube. You can pretty much self-educate yourself. You can go to YouTube University. You just have to be smart who you learn from, who you don't. Because it's some crack stuff up there, but it's a lot of good stuff. You understand what I'm saying? They got so many free resources. You can even take a free class on Harvard online. They got all this stuff, right? Because a lot of times people think you need the degree. We're all different. What you need is the knowledge. You need the understanding. And first off, you need to know who you are and what your gifts and what your talents are. You understand what I'm saying? So let me show you where he missed this at. So he said I put in 400 and something applications. Now, mind you, this show is not about getting you a job. This show is about debating capitalism. 20 capitalists debating capitalism, right? How do you go sit before a capitalist and you don't know nothing about them? That's the mistake, right? That's what the old saying says. Know who you go before. How many times we miss so much stuff because we don't know who we go before? This is what I am saying to you. There are real opportunities out here. Now, let's say, for instance, somebody walks to you up off the street. As long as they're not a manipulator or somebody trying to control you or manipulate you and trying to make to people think that they're trying to give you an opportunity and help you, and it's just you the problem, a lot of people deal with that, right? As long as they're not trying to manipulate you, it is good to know that if somebody walks up and say, hey, I feel you got some potential, A, B, C, D, F, G. I would like to hand you my card. I want you to call me. I got something for you. And you say, okay, well, what is it? What's the name of your company? Who are you? And they say, oh, I'm Jack and I do such and such and such. You'd be like, okay, you mind if I look you up? And you go look them up. You have a right to do that. You have a right to do that, right? You don't want to just run into something. That person could be a con artist. They could be anything. So you have a right to do that. But when you're sitting before somebody and you're on a national TV show or a major whatever it is, YouTube show or whatever, and you have the opportunity to have exposure and you have the opportunity to be before a capitalist that you can debate, even though the show is not about getting a job, if you would have done research when that person said, okay, so what do you do? Let me know. What's your background? Do you not know? Do you not know that even though you didn't know that you would be offered a job, you're complaining about your little town you come from, you're complaining about this, you complain about 400, this person, if you would have did your research, you would have found out he's in the entertainment industry. You would have found out he's in the sector where he's before a lot of business people. And you would have found out that you would have went from the kind of driving you don't want to do, the kind of stuff, the logistics, all that you don't want to do, to something totally different that could have opened you up to a totally different world. Because you would have did your research, not looking for a job, because that's not what the show was about, but you at least should have done your research as you went to go debate this person. You can't debate someone that's a business person and you don't know business. You can't debate someone about capitalism and you don't understand who they are. You don't know what businesses they have. You don't know the people that they've helped. You don't know the story or the background. And like I said in part one, if you that's that jealousy out there. That's that hateration. When they see you doing your thing, they get wicked, baby. See, I ought to go tell City Hall. I ought to go tell the mayor. They get crazy out here. That's why the American dream don't work. It's not that the ideas are not bright. The ideas is great. It's the jealousy and hatred and envy. It's you. And see, you do that on the surface, just a distraction. But think about what you do to people behind closed doors when you threaten them with death, when you threaten to harm them and destroy them. The American dream is not the problem. It's the hateration in the earth that's the problem. Now let's get back to this good old thing. Again, know who you go before. Guys, now he didn't know. This show not about getting you a job. The show is about you think capitalists are too rich and too this, and we're going to debate you. We coming with our points. We're 20 strong and you're one person, and we need to knock you out the box. We need to let you know what's really going on. But you can't do that if you don't have information, right?
Let me give you a couple options.
Sure.
Are you open to leaving the city you're in?
I've already left it.
So what city?
I've left multiple cities.
So if somebody else gave you a job in a different place, you'd be
100%.
willing to move there?
100%.
Okay. On your resume,
It says that.
What do you have on your resume? Skill set. What do you offer?
Transportation expertise, logistics expertise.
You consider yourself a hard worker.
I mean, I feel
You
like
said
80 hours a week.
That's a
something like
hard
that.
worker.
Sure.
How about we do this? How about I interview and I give you a job? Would
Sure.
you move to Fort Lauderdale?
Ooh, man, that's Florida. Sure, why not?
Would you move to Fort Lauderdale?
Sure, why not?
How about you and I document this? After this, you come, I do an interview with you, and I give you a job. And let's see what you do 90 days later.
Okay, and I'll look up your company and all that kind of stuff, and I'll see it.
But you
like,
see what just happened
regardless,
right there? But
Mike,
watch what you just did.
And see, we do that all the time. We've been so done. And see, we do that all the time, guys. People have rejected us so much and done so much things to that. That's what we have to be careful of. We've been so rejected. We've been done so dirty in this lifetime. Can be good people trying over and over and over. You understand what I'm saying? And you'll have. I remember one time I was on the train in Los Angeles, and I remember this woman said to me one time, we was in performing arts and we was working for a nonprofit, volunteering for a nonprofit entertainment industry. And I remember she said one time, "You kiss a lot of frogs before we kiss the prince, don't you?" And I knew exactly what she was saying, right? Because there's so much rejection in the world of entertainment, and so it is in the world of corporate America, right? So that by the time something good do come along, you're like, like, sure, like, whatever, right? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And people will be looking like, really? Like, I'm trying to help you, But most wise people who've been there, done that, don't be manipulated by people now. There are people who would conspire and gather together to pretend like they're giving you an opportunity and they're really not. But most wise people have been there, done that. Most wise people understand why you're doing what you're doing. You understand what I'm saying? And they don't just walk away and say, well, I tried. They don't just walk away and say, well, I tried. I tried. You can't help them. I tried. Most wise people understand because they've been there. They've been there. If they good people, trust me, they've been there. They've had the hardships, the rejections, the name calling, the closing doors on you, the making up stories on you, the bad attitude. Most people who are high entrepreneurs, like I said, you don't know the near-death experiences that people have been through. The name calling, the evil, the attacks. It's one thing for people to steal ideas and capitalize, and they got the money and they make your ideas happen. But it's one thing when you take an idea and you build on it and build on it and build on it. I try to explain to you, do you really know what people go through? The attacks, the lies, the slander, people trying to take it all away. And then when you finally get there, people still trying to bring you all the way back down. Oh, it's horrible, y'all. It's horrible. How many know that when you are pursuing a dream, just because you don't write it in a book, just because you don't say it online, you know what people said about you. You know the threats that come against your life. You know the attacks. You understand that. You know the deep stuff. But that doesn't really sell a lot with PR. You understand what I'm saying? People say, oh, you're a victim. Sound too much like a victim. So people want you to sell the same stories over and over and over. The hero story. But how many know that it's not about the hero? It's about the ideas that we're sold, and we know that those ideas are beautiful. But we also know that there are players out here in this world that don't play fair, and they make those ideals look this small. You know that. You know that. There's been people who've been terminated in the earth out of jealousy and envy. We know that. We're not some like walking through this lifetime just stupid. There's been people who've been desecrated. And so a lot of times, guys, what I'm trying to get you to understand, when people try to say, oh, capitalists don't deserve to be a millionaire, boo. They didn't deserve to almost go through death 2 to 3, 4 times either. They didn't deserve to have people trying to put spells and hexes and curses on them either. That's a lot they didn't deserve. So it's time to look at it differently. We got to look at it from the point that, hey, there has to be justice. There has to be things done right. You understand what I'm saying? Because as you can see, people get rowdy-bowdy, honey. And we all know that this camera wasn't rolling. It'd probably be a little bit deeper than that. Y'all know that, right? So it gets deep, guys. It gets deep. It gets deep. And it's not always easy. So it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of fortitude to continue with something in the face of threats, in the face of hatred, in the face of everybody smiling on the surface. But we know that that's not what people do to you behind closed doors. In the face of having to keep a positive attitude, when you want to fall out loud and say, I ought to knock you out, what you grinning at me for? When just not too long ago you was trying to slaughter me, but you got to put on your suit, you got to act professional. You got to act like it didn't happen. Hi, Jamie. Hi, Shira. We know the story, right? They call us annoying. They talk about us like dogs. So that's why people feel that capitalism don't work. Not because capitalists are greedy. They doing their thing. because of people that skin and grin before the world, pretend to be very nice people, pretend to save the world, and try to slaughter you. And then will get you before the public and act like they never did nothing to you. I want remember y'all guys. Y'all remember the actor who played in what was that? What's that black movie? The Black Panther. What was that? What was that? Guys, you know what I'm talking about. Michael B. Jordan, when he was doing the interview, right? And this woman came up to him and she was trying to capitalize off his success. And he looked at her, and most of the time you don't see a lot of people do that, right? You only see it maybe like in raw industries, like the rap industry, or stuff like that, where it get real deep, where people can cuss you out and do whatever, you know what I'm saying? You see it in stuff like that. But in most professional arenas, you don't see it a lot, right? And Michael B. Jordan turned to her. He said, I remember you. He said, you were the one that would dog me out all the time. He said, and you would say to me, you not know Michael B. Jordan, because he's named after Michael B. Jordan. And she would dog him out and she would give him hell. And she said, no, I didn't do that to you. And she was laughing. And he said, yes, you did. He said he said you would down me all the time and try to down me all the time. You guys remember that? You may haven't saw it, but it's out there. And you know what he told her? He said, yeah, that was you. He said, but he kept it cool, right? But he knew what he was doing. You understand what I'm saying? Because so many people do this to us in life and they get away with it. Because everybody fake the front. Everybody got to put on the professional face. Everybody got to act like it didn't happen, right? And she lied her little socks off. So it's not that the American dream don't work. It's not that sometimes capitalism don't work, but there is a picking and choosing system in the system, amongst the system, within the system. You understand what I'm saying? How many people would love to make as much as money as they can? As much as money as they can. Helping all the people they want to help. Doing the things that they love. You telling me that's not what you want? Child, get out of here. But anyway, let's continue. So let's really get into this, right? So now that you see a little bit about that and why that was of interest to me, because I really want us to understand what's the argument? What do we really believe the argument is? Just like in politics, right? People keep arguing, nah, this team, that side, these people, that's it. Listen, guys, no matter how much you argue, it hasn't moved us forward, have it? It hasn't moved people forward. Not the argument. Not the arguments. And the reason being is because we really don't get down to a balance of truth on things and to try to understand it from both perspectives, right? Right? People believe what they want to believe. It is what it is. People would love to tell you that the American dream is so easy and y'all just lazy and it don't work like that. And y'all just, and you're like, I'm working like, oh, dude, I'm working 80 hours. What do you mean? So, but anyway, let's get into it, guys. Capitalism is a system. It's not a morality. So it's not good or bad. You understand? It's a tool that reflects values of people that are running it, right? If greed and exploitation dominates and it's destructive, it's not because of the idea itself. It is because of the person that's behind the idea. Whoever is working inside of the company you work for, or whoever you're thinking of, or something like that, right? But again, like I told you guys, you got to put things in perspective. It's one thing to see someone dogging people out and you see they greed and you see their bad behavior versus, you understand what I'm saying? You're just going along with the tagline. Oh, he ain't no good. Oh, they ain't no good. Oh, that's just a greedy person. There's a difference, right? Right? Because you really don't know what that person does in their lives along the way. You understand what I'm saying? Like, who are they giving to? What are they doing? It's so much more to the story than what people will have you to believe. You're just looking at their money. Oh, they just greedy. They're just greedy. Well, we know that po folks greedy. Greed is not a rich or a poor thing. Greed is a character issue. Okay, so capitalism is not a bad thing. We all want what's good, what's right, and to make a lot of money at what we do. It's the behavior in our world concerning certain people. You understand that, right? And we have to admit, capitalism has been a lot of innovation, lots of innovation, a lot of great ideas. Now we ain't gonna lie, some of them ideas been stolen. Folks will ponder stuff, act like they did stuff, and we know that it's been documented in courts, so I'm not saying nothing wrong. But for those who didn't steal and they really took their kernel of an idea and they built something and it manifested into something, you really don't know the story, guys. People go through way more than what you think. If you go through what you go through just on your jobs, just imagine what you have to go through. Just imagine what you have to go through to break through to that type of realm. You understand that? So sometimes, guys, we got to take things into consideration, right? So let's get down here. Let's get into the truth of capitalism like it's the American dream. It has lifted millions into wealth, and it has. Lots of people have made money on that internet, on socials, TikTok, doing their books, doing this, doing that, innovation, right? This is all a part of capitalism, right? And created unmatched innovation. But it also leaves, or what people think it does, leaves us behind cycles of debt, poverty, and inequality. And there is a reason for that, and it's true. Truth, the system delivers opportunity, right? But not fair access to that opportunity. So again, it's not the American dream idea. It's not the capitalism idea. It's the players in the field that don't always play fair. That happens on your job. You think that's just about a rich person? When was the last time you was on your job, somebody was trying to get you fired because they wanted your spot? And they ain't even rich, boo. So just imagine competition on regular jobs and the competition at the levels of entrepreneurship. Oh, I know everybody like to tell you, kumbaya. We all love each other and work together. Yeah, when you get to a certain level. By that time, can't nobody kick each other out, everybody in a little clique. But we know it don't work that way before you get there. The stories, guys, the real stuff that people go through. So keep that kind of stuff in mind, right? Whether you work in a regular job, the hell you go through, that's why you think in your mind, I'm tired of this job. These folks is off. And it's the same way with entrepreneurship. The only thing with entrepreneurship is that you feel you're taking control of your life. You feel you're taking control of your life. You listen, lots of people know this. I'd rather go through hell for something I'm doing that I love than to go through hell for something that I will never ever get to own or never ever can raise to a certain bracket in. You understand what I'm saying? Because we know that in some companies you can only go so far. You understand that? That's why some certain people are smart, especially a lot of young people. They don't play that game that I'm gonna work 40 years and get an acre in a mule or whatever you call it. They be like, I got a little bit foresight. I see this is only gonna go this far. I got about 3 years here and I can learn this much. But I'm apply, and if they deny, but I'm looking at the company over there, I got my skills, and I'm gonna go over here and see about moving this way so I can go up that way. They don't wait no more, sweetheart. You have to have initiative. And that's the thing about corporate America. Corporate America is nothing but laws. I've said that before. It's nothing but laws. Accounting, business laws, HIPAA laws, real estate laws, laws. Investment laws is just nothing but laws. Every company you work at, I don't care if it's McDonald's, there are laws behind McDonald's of what you can do and what you cannot do. You work in real estate, what you can do, what you cannot do. Corporate is basically just law. Do you understand that? Besides just the corporate entity and you building it, it's law. So corporate is not the problem. Why? Let me tell you why. Because what is the first thing you say? Honey, I'm through with these jobs. I'm going to build my own business. Guess what? You ain't went nowhere but up the street. You still got to abide by the law. You still got to go by corporate. You better get them accounting records right. You better do, you know what I'm saying? And if you, depending on what type of business you build, if you're not going by them laws, you're going to be shut down real quick. Your competitors ain't going to even have to fight you. You're going to be shut down real quick. You understand? So corporate is nothing more than law. And law is not the problem. Character, right? All the great ideas are not the problem. It's character. Okay, regulation, responsibility equals balance. Unchecked capitalism leads to monopolies, exploitation, and environmental harm, right? Overregulation, on the other hand, can stifle growth and innovation. And in the middle ground, you got smart rules, ethical leadership, and accountability, right? So everybody plays a role. It's not just the leaders, but it's the employees too. Everybody plays a role, right? Everybody. You can't fuss about greedy capitalists and then you be on the job trying to knock somebody else out the box or mistreating other people. You understand what I'm saying? Or dogging out other people. And then you want to point your finger, they so greedy, honey. They don't care nothing about us. And then you over there doing something wrong to other people. We all know the story, right? So it's not just about them. It's about us too. It's just that simple. It's this, like I said, greed, the sin of greed, darling. What they call them, the 7 sins. The sin of greed. Don't care if you're poor or rich. If it can occupy your heart, it will occupy your heart. It don't care if you're black or white. It don't care if you got a disability or if you're full competent. If it can occupy your heart, it will occupy your heart. You understand that? So, reimagining what we call this thing, capitalism, the American dream. So that old version was all about your house and you climb to corporate ladder and you consume more. You understand what I'm saying? That was the thing, right? Because a lot of people come out of poverty all the time. Well, there are people who have reached out of poverty and there are still people that need to come out of what we call poverty, right? But what are new ideas? Remember when I was saying you can't sit before a capitalist and you can't argue. You can't sit before a capitalist and you can't sit before a capitalist and argue capitalism if number one, you don't know what it is, and number two, you don't know who the capitalist is. Because you can literally say stuff and make yourself look ignorant, and you don't know how many people they done helped in this world. You don't know how much love they've gave across the board. Just because they haven't crossed your path, it doesn't mean that they haven't been out there doing some things, right? Just like you, if you're a business owner, you haven't crossed the whole world's path, but that doesn't mean you haven't been out there doing some things, right? And with that being said, yes, you got some scrupulous folk. And maybe we don't sugarcoat nothing on TCLN network. They be doing the fool. They be doing the now, boo. I'm not finna give you no proper English. They be doing the fool. They be doing the absolute fool. You know how that song say, doing the butt? Honey, they be doing the fool. And they are so savvy at fooling the world. And we know this. So the argument is not capitalism or the American dream. The argument is that what choice do we make in the face of the attacks, in the face of the hatred, in the face of don't nobody want us to achieve it, in the face, do you have the courage? Do you have the fortitude? Do you have the will? Because that's really what it boils down to. Not, oh, Jeff Bezos, Elon, and oh, honey, them people gonna be living their life, whether you like them or not. And however you judge them, let's be honest with you, you don't know them. You don't live with them, sleep with them, eat with them. You don't know them. All you know is what everybody gossip about. It's just that simple. You don't know them. Just like people don't know you and they talk about you like a dog. They don't know you. You understand what I'm saying? So it don't boil down to, is capitalism wrong or right? We know it ain't wrong. At least the ideal versions of what they giving us anyway. Everybody should want that. Your kids should want that. Remember, even the Bible wants that. The Bible says, I bless he and her. Bless them and said, be fruitful and multiply. You better understand that concept and that principle. You thought it was all about having babies. Oh, it's bigger than that, baby. It's bigger than that. Because you're bigger than just procreating. You're a whole spirit, honey. You're a whole being. So if it's commanded, if it's in your constitution, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, this was endowed upon you by your creator. They say, oh, girl, you black. They weren't talking about you. Girl, I don't care what them people talking about. Listen, it has nothing to do with that. We are spirit. You take this color off of us, at the end of the day, we all spirit. We're all energy. We're all life forms. So even though people may have meant it that way, or they said that meant it that way, they wasn't stupid when they said it. They knew the truth. These are rights that are granted unto you. You understand that? So it's not if the argument is right or wrong. It's the argument is, what are you going to do in the face of everything that's telling you you don't deserve it? It's not for you. Sit down. Where you think you going? And please don't give me the race game, y'all. Because you know all them races out there be acting up. You know that. You try to go pursue something, honey, they all of them out there acting up. All of them. People that look like you, people that don't look like you. People that's from other countries, all kind of stuff. You got foreigners that'll come over and tell you, get out of here. We taking over. You be like, what? See, TCLN network don't sugarcoat it, baby. I don't sugarcoat it. I ain't saying nothing wrong. I'm just telling the truth because we know how the real world works. We just have to have the courage to tell the truth. Right? Right. So the ideas are not the problem. The problem is that, what are you going to do when opposition come up against you when you try to pursue an idea and pursue that idea of your right to pursue your happy, your right to have liberty and freedom? You gonna sit back, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Bill Gates? That's not gonna change nothing. We know that. We know that. And personally, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I may say this, and some of y'all may turn away. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've looked at Jeff Bezos and how he started. And I look and I say, you know what? I think it is amazing. Amazing the jobs that man has been able to provide. I think it is amazing. Let me tell you something, guys. No matter how you cut it, if that Jeff Bezos was not here, let's be honest, lots of y'all, probably thousands, from the Amazon grocery stores to the trucks that you get to drive, to all of that stuff, thousands of y'all will be unemployed. I don't care how you cut it. You can argue about, oh, they great, oh, they this, oh, honey, you ain't supposed to get as paid as much as they do. That's their invention. You got to come up with your own. Until then, they got to disperse the money amongst all the employees. And everybody is not at the same level. Skill level, knowledge level, none of that. You understand that? So if you got a problem with that, you got to go figure it out. And then you got to come back and tell the capitalists, honey, we done figured it out. We can do it better than you. But until then, let's be honest with you. If you start a business right now today, I don't care what you say, you would want to get paid well. You wouldn't want to start a business and be a poor papa. I'm just, I'm doing what the Lord called me to do. No, I don't need no money. And it's funny, I want y'all to go watch this show, Surrounded. Now, I can't show you these clips too much like that, but I can do it for educational and commentary purposes, just a few. This show is an hour and something. I want you guys to go watch it. And I want you to see when he begins to ask them questions, how they will skip around it. You understand what I'm saying? Because you got to face it. You got to face it. What choice you going to make? Because guess what? Do you know what that man, Patrick Ben David, went through? He was called names. Family called names. Spat upon, stepped on, dogged out. But he was so like, forget y'all. I'm going to tear my teeth into it and I'm going for what I'm going for. You got to have that backbone, baby. You not be unethical, not step on people. But you do have to have a tenacity in you, a will in you, a fight in you. Because if you think people just gonna let you go, oh, the American dream, come on in the house, child. Capitalism is for us all. Let's go. They'll be trying to figure out how to remove your kneecaps. No, boo, it don't work like that. Even your own family will get jealous of you. Hey, you gotta be like, dang, I gotta move out. Y'all going crazy over here. So it doesn't work like that. We know jealousy and envy, hatred, all that stuff exists, right? Exists. It exists, guys. It exists. I want to give you a little bit about Patrick Bet David because I have to stay balanced and I have to stay truthful, right? He was born in 1978 in Iran to an Armenian and Assyrian family. Of course, he fled during the Iranian Revolution, according to his story. Refugees camp in Germany, immigrated to the U.S. at 12. Military services, airborne, all of that, right? Career started, entered into financial services, first with Morgan Stanley and Transamerica. He was working at sales, all that kind of stuff. He went on to found his own financial services company focused on life insurance. Have you guys seen that movie, The Pursuit of Happiness? That's kind of like what his story is like. You remember that guy, the black guy who Will Smith played? Well, he was the black guy and he was struggling and couldn't feed the baby. And what a lot of people don't know, in his book, he didn't put that in the movie, but in his book, prostitutes fed his child. He couldn't even feed his child sometimes, his son. And the women of the night, he called them, friends of the night, women of the, but they would come and give the child $5, $10 and feed the baby. And he take the baby out to eat and stuff like that because he couldn't even feed the baby. Well, he finally got an internship. You guys know about that. But he finally went on to own his own financial firm. But do you know what he went through? Do you remember in the story, and that was true, where they took his taxes, because it was in his book too. This dude was struggling so hard, they knew they was trying to kill him. See, guys, you don't understand what people go through. They was trying to, listen, it's spiritual, y'all. They was trying to terminate him. They knew that he had that little bitty money in the bank. They knew he would start his little bitty income tax. Y'all been there, y'all know the story. And because he owed something at the last minute for to go get ready to feed his kid, to pay a bill, bam, they took the taxes like the broke. Y'all done been there. That's what I mean by the choice. It ain't easy, baby. Sometimes y'all be complaining about how much money people should make sure they make, baby. You don't know what they done been through. And they done provided you tens of thousands of jobs. And people love to fight. They love to fight. It's one thing to argue facts and argue information, but it's another thing just to be and just slandering and all little crazy stuff. So, but anyway, job creation, financial literacy. His agency gave underrepresented communities access to financial services and training, promoted financial literacy, entrepreneur skills at the scale through valuetainment. So, guys, you know about that up there. Um, so now I wanted to dig a little deeper because I know that there are people, they say they do great things in life and we don't never see it. We be like, where is it? Where is it? So I wanted to dig a little bit deeper, guys. So I asked this question, right? After I found out what has he actually done, right? What has he done? Like he was asking the people on the show, well, what have you done? Um, you know about his insurance company, MLL, in 2017. You know that he generated nearly 100 million in revenue, and he had 9,900 agents, nearly 100 employees, right? So employees and then his agents. He also had the consulting services, Bet David Consulting and the Vault Conference. 5,000 businesses from 60 countries provide services like pitch deck creation, marketing optimization, compensation plans, designs, and all of that. Events, conferences, 10,000 people have been there. Empowerment through inspiration through his channel on YouTube, Valuetainment. A lot of you guys probably have heard of it. And so I wanted to go a little deeper. I was like, okay, so it says that he's done all of that, but was the people that actually worked for him or any of those people actually benefited themselves, right? Because we have to ask those questions, right? Because we want balance. We don't want just a one-sided story, right? And so I dug a little bit deeper, and what I found is that there's no information on it, right? You have a few complaints. You do have people complaining, saying, "Oh, he's this," and "Oh, it was a little scam," and you have Reddit. They said it was a mastermind. A lot of people were willing to call it not rich or whatever. And then you also had people call it a pyramid scheme, one of his companies, right? And then you had those who said, 1,000 people to some $2,000 package. So that was some of the complaints, right? Um, my final thoughts is this. If you were employed in some type of way, and I'm not talking about just sales agents, but actually employed, and you actually got to get some skills and learn some skills from someone, and because it's more than just money, you're learning skills, you getting insurance, it's so much more. You understand what I'm saying? Because you're not going to stay with somebody forever. You're going to take that stuff and you're going to go other places and do other things if you're smart. In this day and time, honey, ain't no such thing. You're going to sit around 20 years and you're going to get your Rolex and you're going to roll on out. No, not in this day and time, you know. So you have to think about it broader and you have to think about it bigger. You understand what I'm saying? What skills am I receiving? What is my pay? You know, uh, is there more opportunity, more learning, more education? Do I want to pursue this long term? Or do I want to pursue this for a period? See, you worry about incentives, benefits, and all this kind of stuff. You are the incentive. You are the benefit. You take the initiative. You map it out. You know how long you belong in a place. You know when it's time to move on. You know what you want ahead of time, and you have to map that out, right? In times past, we didn't have that much information. But today, you got YouTube University, you got everybody talking, you got so much information out there. Some of it is false, some of it is true, but you trust yourself to know what you're trying to do. You understand what I'm saying? You trust yourself in that, and you go for it, and you don't stop. Like he said, you can sharpen your skills and do what you need to do. Everybody don't necessarily want to be a millionaire either. They just want a better life, right? So you got to do something different. You got to do things better for yourself. You got to fight for it. There's a lot of free resources out here. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to have a bonus session with you guys, but you're going to find that on YouTube, right? You're going to find it on YouTube. So I want to thank you guys. If you joined me here at Austin Public, I want to say thank you so much, and go over there and subscribe to YouTube, because that's where you're going to find that bonus session at, right? And you can also find part 1, right? But I just wanted us to expand a little bit and think about it a little bit more. I'm speaking about it from the side of, I know I've been there. I've struggled many, many years. I know that things can be unfair, but we got to point to what's really unfair versus what we think is unfair. Are the ideas unfair of capitalism, American dream, or or are people unfair that don't do the right thing? See, as I sit out here, there have been people recording me. Oh, yes. There have been some people who recorded me. They're going to take it and they're going to go listen to it and they're going to tweak it and they're going to put it in their podcast, put it in their stuff, and they're going to act like they said it. You know that, right? But I can't stop. I can't give up. I know that there are thieves. I know that there are people that don't play right, but that's a part of life, guys. It's not capitalism that's the problem. It's that people don't play fair is the problem. And with my little small viewership, and there are thousands of people, you know how the story go. And they make the money and you didn't, but you put in the work. You put in the research and you put in the effort. No, it's not fair, guys. But is it worth it? That's what you got to ask yourself. Thank you for tuning into TCLN Network, Austin Public. TCLN Network is independently produced by IBK Media Productions. To support TCLN Network financially, visit paypal.me/TCLN Network, also TCLN Channel Podcasts. To learn more about TCLN Network, visit thecreativeleadershipnetwork.com and follow on all socials, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram at IBK Media Works.